Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Marcus, who will be the 5th character to join the Kingdom Allegiance and being the last required for the Kingdom Mythic Trials. Visually he is very different to the Marcus characters we have had in the past. I think we had a tough one in the S-Class era that was a leader, and this one's very armoured up indeed. On the right hand side you can see he's not got a weapon in his hands, it's a default weapon, but he's got a lot of chainmail on. On the left hand side you can see in much better detail. You're not getting through that, and I think this was definitely a good way to go in the zombie apocalypse without a doubt. He has got a pretty interesting helmet on as well, and I no doubt he will get that at Limit Break 3. If we look at his stats as a Limit Break 2 character, level 680, you can see he has 14,039 attack, 18,719 defense, and 14,039 HP. He is a strong character, considered a controller, mythic character of course, and as I said before, he is another character to join the Kingdom Allegiance, making it the 5th, along with Ezekiel, Zachary, Cliff, and I said Cliff and not Barker, and of course Shiva. If you get all 5 of these characters, you will be able to run the Kingdom Mythic Trials once it comes around. I will be previewing the character who is the reward for that in a couple of days, so stay tuned to the channel. So first off, we'll look at Marcus's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Escalating Might. It is a 66 AP cost rush, so on a defense team he will require AP on attack to get this off within reasonable time. Deal 40% of this character's max defense in main damage to up to 2 enemies. Taunt a single enemy for 2 turns. This is very powerful. Obviously we've seen someone like Romanov, who's the next war character, doing maim based off of his HP. Now we have maim based off of defense, and his defense stat, Marcus's here, is the highest stat, so he's going to have, you know, much higher output when it comes to the kind of main damage he's going to be able to do. If it was based off his attack or his HP, it wouldn't be as high. The taunt is nice. It is just a single enemy, so it will be the main target of that rush, but it will mean that he'll gain the extra AP potentially that he would require to get this rush up once again. Okay, so we have the Adrenaline Rush of Marcus here, and what we want to see is how does the taunt work if you take down an enemy with his rush. Now you can see on the defense team there is quite a decent defense buff on some of these characters. Main bypasses defense. It ignores defense. It doesn't matter if someone's got a 5 million defense buff. It's not going to negate any of the main damage. It's awesome because of that, and that's what makes it really powerful. Now we'll see how much damage it does, and we'll see if someone gets taunted. We'll see it does 11,481. And you can also see Erica in the top left hand corner did get that 2-turn taunt, along with LD getting a bit of the main damage as well. Now that 11,000 main damage is apparently 40% of his defense, and obviously you can rise that up with his weapon, with mods, with leader skill, and with buffs. And there are certain characters out there that have incredible defense buffs. If you have kind of, you know, seen Ezekiel's 350%, teamed up with the likes of Razzo, who does have bleed based on his defense stat, it can be crazy, and it's going to be just as crazy here with Marcus. So the potential of those two working together on the same team is pretty good. Now when we see the skills themselves, you can see there's not too many upgrades on his rush. At grade 4 it goes from 20% to 40% main damage, and at grade 5 it goes from 1 to 2 main targets. I think this is a prime suspect for a update when it comes to Limit Break 3. I wouldn't be surprised if this got a little boost, potentially taunting 2 for 2. That would be pretty powerful indeed. Now obviously, like I said, the more you raise his defense, the better this main damage will do, but every one of those taunted targets hits that he gets, which are almost guaranteed at this point unless someone resists, because no matter if you take the target that you actually rush down or not, someone should get taunted or at least have a proc happen. They can obviously resist it, they can have focus, but those taunted attacks will give him an extra 5 guaranteed AP per turn, and that will, like I said previously, it will make his rush come back around a bit quicker, which is obviously quite important. So his rush is decent, and it is going to be doing damage based off of tanky parts of his kit, which is kind of what you would want on a damage dealer on a defense team. Now Marcus of course has a signature move, and it is called Unassailable. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 1 turn, number of uses unlimited. Taunt an enemy for 2 turns, that enemy gets minus 50% attack for 2 turns. This character gets 100% stun resistance for 2 turns. This is obviously just really nice off of turn 1. There's a lot going on here, but this is where it could make up for that AP being missed out on his rush. So you may not have to have AP on attack on his weapon on a defense team. You can just get by with stats and gaining the extra 10 AP in the first 2 turns just from the taunted attacks that you would receive, and a little bit extra. Generally, you're going to get a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 AP extra based on the damage that that target actually does. The rest is obviously nice as well, reducing the amount of damage that is going to come in, and then him not being able to be stunned. If he does, for instance, take on a strong character who has stun on attack, he's not going to be able to get stunned at all. Unless, I believe, I'd have to get this confirmed and just check my top comment, just so I can get this confirmed with someone from Scopely. If someone is a control character, that might reduce that 100% stun resistance down a bit, kind of like when someone has a 100% chance to make a critical attack, but if they attack a tank, they can still be resisted, obviously. So we'll see. I'll put that in my top comment if I remember to ask somebody. But of course, the taunted attacks are also going to proc other parts of his kit, which we'll get into a little bit later. But let's just have a little check out how this is going to work. So it's pretty straightforward. On a defense team, Marcus will identify a dangerous target and it will taunt them. Pretty much as simple as that. Generally, it will go trait damage. Normally, I've noticed that, you know, even controls do control trait damage. Signature moves on turn 1 do target trait damage in some kind, even if it does no damage. And what you'll see happen here is, I'll just defend. I've got to defend multiple times here. You'll see Marcus gain AP just based off of the taunted attack. So right now he's got 35. He did get attacked twice, but he did absolute defend a couple of times, which is good because, you know, just to show you that he will just gain a bunch of AP just from being attacked by Dr. Stevens, even if Dr. Stevens doesn't do any damage. So, you know, that's a big bonus, obviously. Now, as we look at the upgrades for his signature move, you can see this one, on the other hand, is a prime example of a signature move I don't think it's going to get too much on a boost. It is very powerful already, and it has had a lot of upgrades as well. At grade 2, it gets -1 to the cooldown, so it goes from 2-turn cooldown to 1-turn cooldown. At grade 3, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown to a turn 1 starting cooldown. At grade limit break 1, you can see it gets +1 to attack down duration, so it goes from 1 turn to 2 turns. And at grade limit break 2, you get +1 to the taunt duration, so it goes from taunt for 1 turn to taunt for 2 turns. The taunt for 2 turns is actually going to be quite important if you want him to gain enough AP, like almost guaranteed. If he isn't limit break 2, there could be scenarios where it pops up where he will not have enough AP on turn 3 if he doesn't have AP on attack. So you'll be taking a risk, but generally speaking, it's worth taking that risk on defense team characters. Stats are generally much more important than getting those rushes off. His rush is nice, but him being more susceptible to being taken out, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. Now, next up are the Mythic Abilities of Marcus. These are his passive skills, and as a controller, he has got precision, and he has got a bit of control in his kit so far. We have seen a bit of taunt in there, so they're more likely to bypass things like taunt resistance, that sort of thing. It will not have any effect against characters that have focus, however, so you might have to team him up with a character that has some sort of focus removal. But we'll see if he's got anything like that in his kit, and if you're looking ahead already, you'll probably find out he does. Our next one is called Unstoppable. At the start of each wave, all teammates get 100% stun resistance for 1 turn. This obviously means the very first turn of combat. So let's say on a raid or a war attack, it lasts for 5 turns. It's only the very first turn. This is going to stop things like Mercer leads being as prevalent on attack or defense. He could basically replace your Marges on attack teams if you did get this guy, because he will just be able to bypass that stun resistance. And he's much more viable in terms of survivability than Marges, so that is obviously really powerful. But if you use Marge for the fact that she has the cleanse, then maybe you're going to be in a bit more trouble. The next one is called Cease Focus, and yep, it is very much so. At the start of each wave, again, the very first turn of battle, 100% chance to remove focus from up to 3 enemies, and this is to counter Negan as much as possible. And I do kind of guess that a lot of these anti-focus characters are coming out when it comes to Negan, because he's being massively used But the reason he's being massively used isn't just because of the focus, it's just because there aren't any real viable leaders otherwise for free-to-play. That's the biggest issue. If you team this guy up with someone like Morgan, second turn, you're guaranteed to not have any of your characters having focus unless they have a passive that procs it on their turn or a signature move that gives it to teammates on their turn. The last passive is called Halting Force. When being attacked, 30% chance to stun the attacker for their next 2 turns. This is awesome for a strong character because he is a non-window off of his passives. This is the same as Connor, and that does mean he could have a revive weapon. We've talked about this on characters that have control on their passives. It cannot be disarmed either, so there's no way to get through this currently. And yeah, that's a massive issue. It is only 30% chance compared to a weapon which was generally going to be about 35% chance to control, but you could go with 2. You saw I was using absolute defense in a clip before, and a character got through the absolute defense but got stunned. So, you know, you can double down on the controls if you so wish and make this guy even more, you know, difficult to actually get past. Or you could go for something like percentage defense when attacked by a character with you know, percentage HP, so that he's going to just take less base damage. Or you can maybe try and introduce some sustain onto his weapon. You've got a lot of choices here. This does allow you to build a very nice weapon for him if you so wish. Okay, so we'll start the fight, and you can see everyone on his team has 100% stun resist, including Marcus himself. It isn't just teammates, and he doesn't have to be a leader for this to happen. Obviously, he can be anywhere in the team. He is not a leader, he is a specialist. Now, I think I'm being smart. I brought a ransack weapon. I have got on my Romanov here. Probably not the best weapon to hold on Romanov, but this is just to show you that you can still do 100% stun resist off of a character on a defense team with him in. And then you've obviously got the 100% stun resist yourself. This is a big, nice little thing when it comes to ransack. However, we'll see the next turn what happens. I'm just going to get in some more attacks. We actually got absolute defended and we got stunned. I didn't know that could happen. So we got absolute defended and stunned. We have stun immunity on Mercer. And yeah, another stun came in, so we got quite a bit of control. And in the next turn, what did he do? He did his signature move, and he's back to 100% stun resist. So let's say if I did have a full team of characters that were strong to try and get that stun resist in, he's still going to be able to resist that stun 100% of the time once he gets that signature move off. So that was actually quite interesting to see that the absolute defense on the weapon could proc as well as the stun. I guess that makes sense. If he has AP down on his weapon, they both could proc as well. I mean, it's kind of obvious now that I think about it. If we look at grade 1, he gets the first half of Unstoppable. At grade 2, he gets the first half of Precision. At grade 3, he gets the second half of Unstoppable, so he gets the 100% stun resist by grade 3. At grade 4, he gets the 50% chance to remove focus from up to 3 enemies. At grade 5, he gets Halting Force. That's the entirety of Halting Force. So if you just get 2 gold mythics on the pools, you'll be able to get the stun on defense part of his kit. At grade 5, Limit Break 1, you can see he gets Precision 2, and they obviously stacks with Precision 1. And then Cease Focus 2 comes in at grade 5, Limit Break 2. And that's the other 50% chance to remove focus from up to 3 enemies. So unless you get him Limit Break 2, it will not be 100% chance. It will just be the 50% chance. And I couldn't really show you that in that little clip there because there are no characters that have focus off of turn 1 other than Negan Leader, in terms of giving it to teammates, I think. And I wanted to show you how the Mercer lead obviously is just going to be completely hard countered by Marcus here. So looking at the passives overall, I think it's actually pretty good how they line up. You're going to get a lot of his passive power just by pulling 2 of this character, grade 5. But obviously he will become much better if you do get him to Limit Break 2. There are other parts of his kit which also get a boost by Limit Break 2 as well. But at least you're going to get quite a high amount of his power by grade 5 if you only do pick up the 2 of him on your pulls. Now the last major part of his kit is going to be his specialist skill, and this plays into how his rush works because it is indomitable. While not stunned, whenever this character takes damage, they gain 30% defense until the start of their next turn, in addition to any existing defense increases, including prior activations of this skill. This is obviously really powerful with that rush because it's based off of his defense stat, and the Indomitable here will boost the damage output of his main, but it's also while not stunned, and he has stun immunity off of turn 1, And then when he does his signature move, he has stun immunity based off of it being on the signature move for another 2 or 3 turns, you know, based on his limit break and stuff. So really, really powerful. Obviously, the combination, it does mean that that rush damage output could be absolutely nuts just with Marcus by himself. Now, this Indomitable will actually stack with any defense buffs that he gets. So if you do have Indomitable like procs 3 times, and then you have an Ezekiel buff go off, you can get his defense up to plus like crazy percentage. And I'm just going to have a little test to see how high I can get it. Okay, so right now we have got Ezekiel, his rush, and we have hit Marcus a bunch of times. I'm going to hit him one more time. Ezekiel's rush will go off. And then Marcus will have, I believe that was 3, is that, how much percentage was that? 420% defense buff. I want to get him his rush so badly. Can we do it? I don't think we can. Will the main give him AP? He didn't get AP. Oh, it's because I've got elusive. I want to get him his rush so bad in this situation. What's it at now? I didn't even see. I didn't even see. It was crazy. It was crazy. Please still show the percentage. I'm pretty sure that was at like... if someone would be able to tell me, just pause the video, that was some crazy percentage, and that would have worked with his rush as well. Now, do remember, obviously, in certain scenarios, you could use Marcus on an attack team in, let's say, challenge run, or maybe even raids, like I said, just anti-Mercer, and he'll be able to do some main damage as well. And the higher his defense gets, the more damage output he'll have with those rushes. Now, if we look at his attached weapon, he does not have one, but he does have a weapon in his hands. It looks like some sort of crowbar. I can't really see it very well. If anyone can guess what this is, like, it looks like a crowbar with a big spike on the end. Something attached to the bottom of it. It looks pretty dirty. It looks pretty dirty. But he's got a default weapon. That means you can put whatever weapon you want in his hands. And I think he's got a weapon that he could easily get, which would be Kerrian's sword, with the defense buff rather than any control in there, because elusive on him would be actually really, really powerful. So yeah, there's definitely some ways you can go. I'm sure some people are going to come up with some crazy ideas for his weapon. Because he's got that stun on defense on his passives, he doesn't need that control on his, you know, his weapon. But if you did do the control on the weapon, they both can happen. And if one doesn't happen, the other one can. So you've got more chance of controlling a character that does actually attack him than, let's say, a character that doesn't have control on their passive. So it's up to you how you want to go with it. So this is Gold Mythic Marcus, and I think he's a nice individual character, and he could probably slot into a lot of different teams, but he doesn't do much for his teammates except that stun resistance, which is very powerful. It does counter, you know, the first turn control of certain characters. You know, we've got Diamond coming along too, and Diamond has some first turn stun control, so she's going to be countered by Marcus here. And, you know, any stun on attack weapons, characters that potentially could come up with, you know, stun on attack leader skills. I know that I've seen this said in the past that they're just going to bring out another Mercer at some point in the Mythic era. Well, Marcus already counters him, so if you're worried about a potential leader like that coming out, work on Marcus as early as possible. I would say work on Marcus as early as possible. But like I say, he's mainly an individual character, and he doesn't seem to have any sort of like direct synergy with any teams, but he should be able to slot into any teams where he's viable, you know, where he's getting the leader skill, be it Pamela, be it Barker, be it you know, Ezekiel teams. He'll just slot in and do what he's there for. A bit of control, being tanky, and potential heavy damage output in the right scenarios. But tell me what you think about Gold Mythic Marcus as the last character in the Kingdom Allegiance required for the upcoming Kingdom Mythic Trials. That is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.